Welcome to horror movie season. It's one of my favorite times of year. I love autumn. I love the changing of the leaves. I love the seasons. Not everybody's crazy about horror films, though, and I'm not saying you need to be. But there's another level of the work that I've been doing for, it's been 3 decades now, learning to go within, even in a film or some kind of a dramatic thing, television show or something. I don't watch lots of TV, but to be able to go within during these times within these artistic pieces that kind of push our buttons a lot, things that either scare us or things that are intense to watch, violent. And it's funny that a lot of people will talk about avoidance, and I mean, if that's the path you want to take, that's fine. I'm not saying that's wrong, but what I am saying is, for me, it's another level of the work to go into these kind of heavier films at times. And people ask me a lot, they're like, how long did it take you to remember to breathe? How long did it take you when you were in situations where somebody was screaming in your face, you felt overwhelmed, whatever it may be, that you didn't have to remind yourself to take a breath? And I'm like, honestly, from the time I started realizing I was holding my breath until it fully integrated, it was probably about 20 years, and I'm not kidding. And that's like nonstop, constant reminding myself. Now it's an intriguing thing because if there's some kind of intensity going on, if I'm in watching a film or something on television or something happening in, real full on 3D, I don't have to remind myself to breathe. It just happens automatically. And of course, what's that thing that we do when we find out someone we love was tragically killed? We lock up the breath. Someone pulls out in front of you in traffic, you lock up the breath. And when you lock up that breath, your psyche, the breath of your life, your soul, is essentially taking a portrait of that moment and locking that in the system that you're going to have to process through later on in your life. And it's not necessarily just bad things such as traumas and pain and suffering, but also just moments when your breath catches and you have those moments, like just random moments of running through a field of flowers as a child. Well, those are the moments that I would offer your breath caught just a little bit. And that phrase, take your breath away. Now, for me, I wanted to get specifically into a film, when I really realized how powerful this was, how important it was to breathe. And this was about 20 years ago. My beautiful Magdalene bride, Loretta, and I were at the Pinellas Square Mall, at the time, Pinellas County, Florida, in Tampa Bay. And that's where she lived her whole life till we moved up here to Asheville. And we were actually at a showing of Passion of the Christ. And of course, I have to, be on some level thankful and grateful for levels of that film, because it did bring Aramaic into the public eye. Nobody ever thought, or not many people thought, oh, he didn't speak English. No, it didn't exist. But I was in this, we were in the theater. There was all these church buses around, so there's loads and loads of people from churches. And right in front of us was a child that was 7 years old. Intriguing to me, because that was the age I was in 1979 when it all started opening for me, when I started comparing Bibles to each other, and not normal for a 7-year-old. But his father was sitting next to him through the film, and you go through all that stuff, and we're getting down into the last third of the film, and there was one particular scene where one of the guards had actually flung, it was almost like a cat of nine tail that was full of barbs on the end, and it caught on Yeshua's back, and he kind of yanked, and ripped it out, and all this flesh and blood comes flying at the camera. And I'm hyper aware of this little 7-year-old boy in front of me, and he's not breathing. Of course he's not breathing. I need you to breathe now. I remember his father leaning over and couldn't help hearing it, even with a loud film, because his father obviously intentionally said it very loud. And he pointed in his little 7-year-old son's face as Yeshua is being completely maimed and tortured. And he said, "You remember, he did this for you." And I went, that was when and literally for the rest of the film, I was it's funny, we think we're holding space for another person. You don't hold space. What a bizarre comment. We allow space. But we don't do it by feeling someone's pain. Here's the self-test from Dr. Michael Rice, and it's infallible. It's kind of complex. Actually, it's not complex at all. You want to know whose pain you're feeling? Okay, here's the test. Who's feeling it? Bing. People say, no, I feel others' pain all the time. No, you feel what it resonates from within the architecture of your own soul. You're not feeling their pain. You're feeling what it resonates within you. Our job is not to heal. Our job is not to feel their pain. It is not even the more indigenous idea of taking pain on. It's actually allowing the resonance of the suffering and pain within ourselves that is obviously in resonance with empathetic, sympathetic vibration with the other's pain, and being so wholly, fully clear in the movement, the rise and fall of our breath, that we can be that space for them, which allows it to be just a little bit looser, a bit less intense for them. And that's the true healing. So even in the midst of this film experience that I literally, amazing too, maybe because he was 7 and it reminded me of myself at that age, I didn't have like hostility toward the father, but I had so much empathy toward the son. Was that a biblical quote? Just remember that next time you're in a movie, you want to avoid some kind of situation because it's too intense. We'll talk about that that's called Luciferianism. We'll talk about that sort of stuck in the angelic realms things in other videos. I've been talking about that in my work for years. But truly, the work is right here and it's right now. And it's not running from it that is going to allow you to actualize, but being wholly, fully present with it right now, whatever is up in the present moment. Because sufficient unto Yalma, this very moment, are the evils thereof. What is evil? That's the word bisha. It means unripe. It's underripe or it's overripe. It's not fertile now. And those are the thoughts that we have that are out of alignment with the true inherent nature of our absolute divinity. Anything less than that is nothing more than mammon. Let it go. I love you all so dearly.